After 7 years of marriage registration, Adrian and I were preparing to hold the romantic wedding we couldn't have back then. That day, I put on the wedding dress I designed myself and walked toward him with eyes full of anticipation. The carefully prepared lines hadn't been spoken yet when they were interrupted by an accident. Amid the astonishment of the guests, Adrian rushed desperately toward the woman who had fainted at my wedding for the second time. His eyes reddened with urgency. "Call an ambulance quickly." Before leaving the hall, he didn't even glance back. After the hall clock struck 7 times, I calmly removed my veil. Smiling at the guests who hadn't left yet, I said, "As you can see, today is my divorce ceremony with Adrian. Everyone, eat and drink well, don't waste this trip." Adrian didn't even call to explain. The next day, I saw his Facebook post. It was at 3 a.m. The accompanying image was a photo of holding hands. In this life, like a pawn, I have never stopped moving, yet I paused twice for you. Without half a second of hesitation, I liked it and commented, "Best wishes." Just as I put down my phone, it rang immediately, with the screen showing husband. I thought he saw my comment and called specifically to explain. But upon answering, it was a coquettish female voice, accompanied by light coughs, full of fragility. "Sister Claire, cough cough, it's me, Vivian." The last shred of hope in my heart shattered. Suppressing my inner discomfort, I coldly asked, "What is it?" Probably because I was unusually calm and didn't question why she had my husband's phone. The other party was stunned for a few seconds before saying, "Adrian went to fetch hot water to wipe my body and even forgot to take his phone, he's so careless." "Sister Claire, yesterday I didn't expect to have an attack and disrupt your wedding with Adrian. Don't blame him, okay?" After a bout of breathless speech, I heard Adrian's considerate voice, "Vivian, why did you get up? Lie down quickly, I'll explain to her." "Cough cough, you're always like this, whenever I have a minor issue, you get so nervous you're about to cry." "It's not that serious." I had long been accustomed to Vivian's feigned weakness and wasn't curious about what would happen next. But these two insisted on pursuing each other mutually, dragging me down with them. Disgusting words kept pouring out. "I will never let anything happen to you." Adrian's tone was full of indulgence, an indulgence that was once mine. "Okay, I know you're the best to me. Be good, go back and hold the wedding first, that's what Sister Claire has been waiting for 7 years. This time, I'll control myself and definitely not go to the scene, okay?" Toward the end, her tone choked up. Adrian felt reluctant and comforted her, "Be good, we won't hold the wedding. We've been husband and wife for so many years, we don't need such illusory things." As I was about to say something, my hand trembled. The phone nearly slipped from my grasp. Adrian, using such a gentle tone, ruthlessly stabbed my heart. Suddenly, my stomach churned violently. Suppressing that agitation, I smiled calmly, "Since you two have so much to say, I won't disturb you. Adrian, I don't know where you go when you're not home usually, I've sent the divorce agreement to Vivian's house. Don't forget to sign upon receipt." Before I could hang up, a roar came from the other side, "Claire, you keep mentioning divorce like a resentful woman every day, is it fun? Yesterday was sudden, what could I do? You want me to watch Vivian die?" I gently tugged at my lip, remaining silent. In the past, he always used cold violence to handle the conflicts among the three of us. Often, I would cry and make a scene, while he quietly smoked one cigarette after another. Today's angry shout seemed to vent his long-accumulated emotions. I was the one stood up, yet he was the one angry? This time, even evaluations I hadn't heard before came out. Resentful woman? He didn't know that only an unhappy marriage turns a woman into a resentful woman. We've known each other for 10 years, registered for 7. I accompanied him from having nothing to the company going public. After weathering storms, this strong rose of mine had already faded. All the past became worthless in the face of those 2 words. "Adrian, if you don't sign the divorce agreement, we'll go through legal procedures." I was tired. This time, no matter how unwilling, I decided to cut my losses. Adrian heard the fatigue in my tone. After a long silence, his tone softened a bit. Don't you just want to hold the wedding? There's plenty of time ahead, any day is fine. Vivian had a heart attack yesterday. If I hadn't sent her to the hospital in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. What about your Facebook? Who did you pause for? I couldn't help but laugh. That's just a sentiment, don't make a fuss, okay? How did it become me making a fuss again? Over the years, hasn't he had few such ambiguously worded sentiments? Usually, I could pretend not to understand, out of respect for him knowing he's married and restraining himself politely. That doesn't mean he can humiliate me twice in the same way at my wedding. Vivian is Adrian's junior from the same school. 7 years ago, at that simple yet warm wedding, she pulled the same stunt. The groom was about to say I do, but she, as a guest, cried and made a scene from below, interrupting the proceedings. Then she had an attack and collapsed. Adrian had no choice but to rush her to the hospital. He stayed with her for a full 48 hours. The wedding ultimately fizzled out. That day, his Facebook post was first "safe and sound is good," then "happily married." Unfortunately, I didn't understand his hint back then. Considering it wasn't good to make relatives run another trip, we gave up on rescheduling the wedding. Seeing me disappointed back then, Adrian comforted me. "Claire, don't be sad, when we have money, we'll hold one every year." I was amused and laughed. 7 years later today, I'm approaching 30. Thinking to make up for this regret, it wouldn't be in vain for my youth. But he still paused for her. From the other end of the phone came the girl's voice tinged with sobs again. "Sister Claire, I've been in poor health since childhood. I really didn't mean to faint at your wedding, cough cough." The phone was suddenly snatched away, and Adrian accused in a deep voice, "Enough, Claire. You're occupying the position of wife now. What are you dissatisfied with? Vivian is already suffering. Why are you making a fuss with a patient?" I curled my lips into a cold smile. "Occupying? Vivian's pain is indeed because you're stringing her along, while occupying my position as Mr. Clare, unable to give her a proper status." As soon as these words came out, Adrian on the other end was immediately choked. They didn't know that as long as Adrian's wife no longer needed dignity, everything could be said openly. The proud little white lotus wouldn't want the hat of knowingly being the third party. Sure enough, soon low sobs came from there. Adrian, ignoring me, softly comforted, "Vivian, don't get agitated, I'll make her apologize to you." Then, in an unkind tone, he ordered me, "Claire, Vivian's emotions are very unstable now. I want you to come to her within half an hour. Otherwise, when I receive that divorce agreement, I'll sign it immediately." Then your childish tactic of retreating to advance. Before he finished, I had hung up. Knowing there was no room for maneuver, yet still feeling heartbroken by his blatant favoritism. 10 years misplaced, 7-year itch. I didn't escape any of them. Adrian and I first met at a university social event. He was tall and sunny, exactly to my aesthetic taste. From then on, I was out of control. To pursue him, I even gave up the exchange student spot and stayed in the country to study. Whenever I had time, I crossed cities to their school to create chance encounters. By the 9th time, he was finally moved and reluctantly agreed to try with me. Even the later registration was proposed by me. I didn't think our relationship would seem cheap because the woman pursued the man. He was always a qualified boyfriend and once a dutiful husband. Only that fleeting uncertainty. I thought I had the ability to grasp it. After marriage, we struggled and finally succeeded in starting a business. More and more excellent women around him. I never took it seriously. He went out for social engagements, facing various temptations. I wasn't nervous either. Until Vivian returned to the country. That's when I started to lack confidence. From crying and making scenes to calmly observing. I kept building myself psychologically. As long as he hasn't taken that step, it's all fantasy. But my bottom line broke again and again, while his heart became narrower. Narrow enough to only hold things related to Vivian. If Vivian was unhappy, he'd cancel international meetings to comfort her. When Vivian moved, he, as company CEO, did it himself. When Vivian had an attack, he guarded her around the clock. When asked, it's that Vivian is alone in Haicheng, and as her senior, he should take care. Any more fuss is me being unreasonable and petty. He forgot that I was the wife he should protect. He forgot that we had difficulty with offspring and needed his cooperation to add a little life to this family. In those days, only I guarded that worthless promise, enduring injections time after time. Now, heaven played a cruel joke on me. I finally got pregnant. But I couldn't keep it. After packing my luggage, I booked a flight out of the country for that day. 10 years ago, my parents and brother had settled abroad for business. Originally, I should have gone with them as an exchange student. But to not miss Adrian, I had a big fight with my family. They wouldn't even come back for my wedding. In that one 7 years ago, only my grandmother who stayed in the homeland came. And 7 years later, grandmother had long passed away. Fortunately, I didn't let the old lady see another joke of the groom leaving for another woman. Adrian didn't know that starting from scratch isn't so easy. Even less did he know that the wedding gift my grandmother gave me was a downtown apartment worth over 10 million from my mom. Narcissistically, I thought if Adrian knew I fought with my well-off family for him, it would make him feel guilty. So I'd rather continue pretending to be a rural girl unloved by parents in front of him. Without enduring unnecessary hardship, I quietly sold the downtown house. The money from the sale cleared the debts his parents owed, letting him focus on striving. The rest gradually compensated for his startup losses. Gave him countless trial and error costs. Finally, he succeeded. I willingly accompanied him from renting to owning a home. Burning through my youth. Narcissism is truly a disease. If I don't pity myself, who will? Numbly standing up, I prepared to go to the airport. As soon as I opened the bedroom door, I saw Adrian slumped on the sofa, looking exhausted. Seeing the suitcase beside me, he irritably pinched his brow, playing the running away from home trick again? Why didn't you answer my calls? I glanced at my watch and calmly replied, what do you want from me? I'd never spoken to him so politely and courteously. He was stunned. Claire, what exactly do you want? Just say it, okay? I just left due to an emergency. Why did you tell relatives it's a divorce ceremony? You make me feel really suffocated like this. I've explained countless times that Vivian and I are just senior-junior schoolmates. When starting the business was tough, she gave me countless comforts and encouragements. That's why I had the motivation to persevere. Now that I'm successful, what's wrong with taking a bit more care of her? You insist on being stubborn and making yourself unhappy. What can I do? Persevering, so it only needed comfort and encouragement? My money was spent in vain after all. I quietly listened to him finish, nodded, I know. You know? If you know, why did you provoke Vivian? Because of your words, she's depressed and has been secretly crying. The one who tied the bell must untie it. If you don't go to the hospital right now to apologize, this isn't over. The tone was commanding. As CEO, he's long accustomed to putting on airs in front of me. My eyes were sore, and I stood there dazed for a long time. Until the man stood up and walked to me, I looked up at him. His tall, pine-like figure no longer sheltered me from wind and rain. He impatiently urged, go to the hospital first, there's still an hour before Vivian's rest time. I'll take a shower and go to the hospital tonight to accompany her. There's a dessert shop opposite the hospital, bring her a matcha raw chocolate. If she eats it and feels better, she won't hold it against you. After he finished, I unhurriedly lowered my head and hummed in agreement. Wanted to refute a bit, but was suppressed by the desolation in my heart. Together for so many years, he remembers others' favorite foods, but is blank when facing me. The cheesecake I've eaten many times, he says no impression. The floral skirt I've worn many times, he doesn't even remember it was the first gift he gave me. I've shown him design drafts countless times. When the wedding dress was finished, he only said to learn more from others. When loving him, I could find countless excuses for myself. Thinking he was just too busy to attend to small affections. But now, I can't convince myself anymore. It's not that he can't spare the thought, it's just not worth using it on me. Adrian thinks he's innocent with Vivian and never softens to me. This time, seeing me overly calm, his tone eased. Leaving suddenly yesterday was my fault, I'll explain to all relatives and friends later. Since you want a wedding so much, I won't refuse to cooperate. I want. You cooperate? In the past, I might argue, that's what you owe me, that's the wedding of the century you promised. But now, I can't be bothered. I directly passed by him toward the door. Claire, you're just too idle as a housewife, finding trouble for yourself. I warn you, adjust your attitude, it's good for us all. You'd better not cause any trouble. Seeing I ignored him, Adrian finally dropped his calm facade, hurling irrelevant threats at my back. To this, my heart was still as water, too lazy to respond, just wanting to handle the last thing before leaving the country quickly. Same hospital as Vivian. I scheduled an abortion. In those years, to consider his feelings, I took contraceptives after intimacy, leaving me with health issues. When we prepared for a child, we found Adrian had fertility problems. I originally thought to leave with the baby, it's not that I couldn't afford to raise it. But now, thinking of having this blood tie with Adrian for life makes me nauseous to the point of dry heaving. Entering the hospital, my heart was like iron. But when the surgery ended and I was told I had completely lost that little life, tears still burst forth uncontrollably. After 2 hours of observation in the hospital, assessed by the doctor, I could be discharged. I got up to leave. On the hospital pathway, I saw Vivian coquettishly swinging Adrian's arm. When our eyes met, Adrian had his back to me. Vivian not only showed no shame but deliberately pressed her body closer to Adrian, her chest subtly rubbing against him. Adrian, thank you for always accompanying me, she said coquettishly, loud enough for me to hear clearly. That despicable look, if seen by the old me, I'd rush up and slap her. But now, I didn't have the energy. It was getting late, this was the shortest way out of the hospital. I didn't detour to avoid them, just calmly walked past them. The movement natural like strangers brushing shoulders. From the corner of my eye, I saw Adrian stunned, wanting to chase. But Vivian held him tightly, unable to move a step. Claire? Is that you? He still recognized me. But I didn't plan to acknowledge him. The man got angry, chased up and grabbed my arm. When his gaze fell on my pale face, the reproach softened. Did you buy the thing I told you to get for Vivian? I've already taught you how to apologize, why can't you make me worry less? I lifted my lip. You told me to come to the hospital, haven't I come? You. I see your Vivian is so happy, doesn't look like she's dying. Giving her matcha raw chocolate, might as well give her you? You're simply unreasonable. The man roared and pushed hard, unprepared, I fell backward. My palm instinctively braced on the ground, the rough surface scraping my skin. The surrounding air froze for a few seconds. I finally slowly stood up, calmly dusted off the dirt. I can't beat you. A wise man doesn't suffer immediate loss. Adrian, remember to sign the divorce agreement. Seemingly enraged by my words, Adrian's eyes burned with fury. You jealous woman, look at yourself now, what do you look like? I finally couldn't hold back and roared, what do I look like now? Adrian, I wasn't born to be a resentful woman staying home to serve you. To this day, all the award-winning designs on the company's honor wall are from my hand. I willingly stood behind you, not for you to rightfully look down on me. No one likes staying home washing and cooking, being blamed for not creating value, nor likes arguing repeatedly with you over a green tea, that kind of life. Go to hell. My voice grew louder until finally calming down. Like a roller coaster, thrilling and exciting. But when it stopped, I felt lost. Adrian was silent. A flash of guilt in his eyes, quickly returning to indifference. If you were more sensible, it wouldn't come to this. I scoffed. Slap, after slapping with all my might, I even felt the wound bleeding again from excitement. Which time he used cold violence on me wasn't me initiating talk. Is it because it's as normal as air that he thinks he's the rule maker? Amid the scum man and cheap woman's gnashing teeth, I left the hospital with a cold face. Planned to rest at home for 2 days, recover, then go abroad. As soon as I lay down, I got a call from my best friend. "Are you okay? You didn't answer calls, couldn't find you at home." Due to weather, flights from Canada to domestic were grounded. She missed my wedding. After hearing my explanation, her voice choked. "That scum pair better lock themselves away, don't come out disgusting people, actually bullying my Claire like this." I paused, then said, "That villa you held for me before, list it for sale, I probably won't be in the country anymore." Ruby is my childhood friend. Before her financial independence, due to family business inheritance fights, her finances were once blocked. I diverted part of the money from selling my house to support her startup. Not really investing. But after success, she still bought a riverside villa for me. Just held it in her name. Reason being she didn't want Adrian to split half. Back then, I laughed at her overthinking. Didn't expect only 3 years later, we've reached dividing property. Ruby on the phone said, "Since not in the country, sell it. Claire, I'll find you the best divorce lawyer." I naturally trust her handling. But when unlucky, bad things come one after another. The next day, Ruby going to handle the villa told me the vacant villa was already occupied. I thought she hadn't returned for too long and got the place wrong. Until Ruby video called me. The door plate was right. The surrounding environment matched too. She asked sullenly, "Claire, tell the truth, I won't be angry. Did you tell that scum about this villa?" I firmly said, "No." Back then, Ruby insisted on giving me this villa, precisely to guard against Adrian's type. I feared he'd feel uncomfortable, so naturally didn't tell him. But in Ruby's video, the vacant house was indeed properly decorated, full of living vibes. My house, besides Adrian the husband, who else could move in openly? Seeing me dazed, my friend said, "The lock was changed, I had someone pry it open. Probably moved in recently, no one home now, want to come see?" Though tired, I wanted to know what happened, so I took a cab over. Entering, first sight was Vivian. She angrily said, "Sister Claire, did you have someone pry open my home's door?" My first reaction was to look for Ruby. "Where's Ruby?" "You mean that woman trespassing? I had someone tie her up and send to the police station, so Sister Claire, you're the mastermind?" I wanted to call Ruby, but Vivian snatched my phone, threw it on the ground, and stomped hard several times. "Claire, you old woman, really think you're something? If you don't apologize today, I guarantee you won't see Adrian for the next 10 days. I frowned. Calmly analyzing the situation. Vivian herself trespassing, yet sent the owner Ruby to the police? What bullshit is this? After returning, she clearly rented in the expensive neighborhood near Adrian's company. I only discovered Adrian supporting her recently from checking accounts. Already listed in the divorce agreement to reclaim the amount. But I never thought she'd appear here. Ruby said probably moved in recently, meaning Adrian planned to give her a home long ago. Does he have to disgust me this way? Suddenly dizzy overhead. Without nonsense, I directly asked, "Who let you move into this villa?" "This is my home, what's wrong with moving in?" "Your home? Didn't you return because family couldn't support staying abroad?" "No job seen, can you afford a villa in this area?" At this point, no point pretending. She thought I'd use marital property to pressure her, unhurriedly arguing, as Adrian's wife, such lack of magnanimity would make Adrian unhappy. Today he was reluctant to leave me, but I was generous, persuading him to go back with you. Tisk, if you learned a bit from me, you wouldn't be stood up at weddings twice. I just hope to live comfortably and decently, can't you turn a blind eye? Must make it lose both people and money? This villa is better than the one Adrian and I live in now. Of course she's decent. Vivian, occupying Adrian's favoritism, boldly claims sovereignty. Lose both talent and wealth? Not quite. No need to explain, I calmly said, this isn't your house, please move out immediately now. As soon as I spoke, Vivian chuckled, Claire, you're really impervious. Don't talk marital property with me, since Adrian arranged for me to live here, this villa has nothing to do with you. I tugged my lip. Call Adrian, have him come. Just as I finished, Vivian's phone rang. She smugly waved it in front of me. No need to call him, between us, it's always him calling me. I ignored her, bent to pick up my phone. Ruby had messaged me she's safe, explained, now bringing people over. I replied one word, good. Exiting chat, accidentally clicked pinned contact. Open chat with Adrian. My finger paused. Couldn't help scrolling up. Then discovered chat records almost all my long essays. His replies always short and cold, few words. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. So Vivian's words that it's always him initiating between them secretly broke my defense. Soon, Adrian hurried over. Just hearing Vivian's Adrian, someone broke into home, I'm scared. He sped from home here, faster than Ruby who was closer. In the past, even if I broke a leg at home, he'd just have assistant take me to hospital. His precious time indeed only spent on those he cares about. When speechless to the extreme, one really laughs. Vivian, you just discharged, go upstairs rest well, I'll handle. Adrian didn't see me sitting on the sofa. Upon seeing Vivian, he put arm around her shoulder, gently pushing her upstairs. Familiar with the way. Comes often. Laughably, divorcing, even sent divorce agreement to wrong place. Vivian not yet upstairs, Adrian looked for surveillance. Probably already violently destroyed by Ruby. He impatiently growled, who is so bold? I hadn't spoken, Vivian already put on weak posture. Adrian, as soon as I returned, I found Sister Claire had someone pry open the home door. Hearing my name, Adrian also noticed me aside. Eyes flashed surprise, then replaced by sarcasm. Claire, what do you mean? What do you think? I countered. Adrian frowned slightly. Seemed unable to think of words. Vivian beside quickly held his arm, acting, Sister Claire, don't be angry at Adrian, if you're unhappy, I'll move out, cough cough. Just arrogant, now could cough blood anytime. Adrian immediately heartbroken. Finally laid cards with me, I renovated the house and let Vivian move in. Any issue, come at me. I didn't speak, just stared deadly at that man. What he said, is that human speech? Ruby bought the house with money. Said to give me, after all not transferred. How dare he be so righteous? Claire, don't think I don't know this house is yours? You had Ruby hold it, in the end, aren't you guarding against me? Since it's marital property, half is mine. Half? As long as I don't accept Ruby's favor, this house has nothing to do with me. Can't figure which link went wrong. Perhaps Adrian's brain flooded? Seeing no reaction, Adrian darkened face, leave here quickly, any issue, we talk back home. As he finished, my phone rang. I answered with one key, said only, right inside, come in. Adrian's turning motion paused. Claire, what trick again? I didn't speak. Silence better than words now. Less than 10 seconds. A dozen burly men rushed in from outside. Ruby's face dark, smash for me. In chaos, Adrian subconsciously blocked in front of Vivian. To me his wife, angrily, Claire, what are you doing? Ruby came over, directly threw red book at Adrian. Adrian, you fucking sick? Take this green tea, get out of my house. Vivian's face changed greatly. Moving in, naturally thought Adrian arranged everything. Who knew the spread property deed on ground clearly had Ruby's name? Adrian domineeringly grabbed my arm. Claire, don't think I don't know you invested money in Ruby. This house is her dividend to you, our marital property. You think I didn't expose you, so you can do whatever? My heart chilled. Ruby had told me when coming. Adrian knowing about the house, probably her fired assistant holding grudge, deliberately leaked to him. But knowing, so what? Not important anymore. I ignored him, turned to Ruby's legal lawyer. Here's a law illiterate, handle it. Adrian's face ugly. Claire, I haven't settled with you, yet you climb on? All riverside villas in Haicheng have owners, only this one left. Doctor says good environment, beneficial for Vivian's recovery. Can't you not be so petty? Beside, Vivian eyes red, clutching Adrian's sleeve timidly. Adrian, blame my useless body, causing you conflict with Sister Claire. This has nothing to do with you. Adrian softly comforted. Claire secretly bought property hiding from me her husband. I originally didn't want to pursue, since must tear face, no need to indulge her anymore. Stay peacefully, leave the rest to me. Big words just out, lawyer followed. Mr. Adrian, you have no right to dispose of Miss Ruby's property privately. Adrian cold face, Vivian, go upstairs first. How could Ruby let her? Rushed forward grabbing Vivian's hair. Slap slap 2 slaps, this is for knowingly being third, ode to Claire. Next again slap slap 2 slaps, this is for having someone tie me to police earlier. Wanted more, Adrian quickly went over, pushed Ruby away. Though promised not to babble much with Adrian. Ruby couldn't help mocking, Adrian, do you know what marital property is? Go ask on the street, which man openly uses marital property to support another woman, yet claims innocence? You're more disgusting than those who admit cheating generously. Few words made Adrian's anger surge. Vivian's health poor, I just care with inability. Ruby, an outsider, don't know inside, please shut up. Adrian is like that. Clearly favoritism obvious, yet thinks himself upright. Ruby looked at him with a fucked expression. Couldn't say a word. Air froze a moment. I coldly said, Ruby, since smash thoroughly, on me. Those burly men seemed professional. Upon order, smashed more vigorously. Adrian hastily shouted, Claire, that's enough. Seeing I didn't buy it, preparing to leave, he finally retreated a step. Tone from threat to discussion, I know deciding without consulting you was my fault. Tomorrow I'll arrange other place for Vivian, first let these people leave. I shook off Adrian's hand. Ruby, call police. Said, I lifted foot to leave. First time seeing my attitude. Adrian stunned in place several seconds. Claire, wait. He chased, one hand grabbing me, one taking phone to call assistant, instruct come help move. Then to me, we go back together. My body weak, couldn't break free. Ruby seeing, immediately ran over, fiercely pushed Adrian away. Man focused on me, didn't expect Ruby so fierce. Stumbled heavily onto vase shards. Palm immediately cut big gash. Blood gushing. Ruby scoffed, deserved. Adrian, you okay? Vivian ran over, anxious. Adrian looked at me. As if seeking pity in my eyes. But I only had sarcasm. Vivian moving, don't you have to do it yourself? Adrian, leaving me for others not once or twice, don't act cheap here, thinking leaving others to go with me compensates. I didn't mean that. Adrian suddenly at loss for words. Not finding desired expression on my face. He subconsciously looked at his palm. Looking at me again, eyes almost pleading. As if asking, I'm injured, why unmoved? Yes. In the past, I'd be nervous to tears. After breaking with parents, he became my only sense of security, I wouldn't let it crack a bit. Rather all world storms bypass him, come at me. But now, I calmly stand aside, even think the touch of crimson suits him. Whatever you mean, I'm not interested. Sign the divorce agreement soon, save delaying giving another woman a home. Said, I disdainfully glanced at Vivian. Lifted foot to leave. Leave garbage to recycling station. Claire, I won't divorce you, don't think you can decide. The man behind hoarsely growled. Each word like torn from soul depths. With blood and shattered love. In movies, perhaps poetic regret. In reality, just funny. Ruby knew I didn't want to argue with him, stayed to clear. Gave me breathing space. Home, I reprinted agreement, attached a gift, placed in study. Dragged luggage away. Goodbye, my 10 years. The farce didn't end with my leaving. Adrian's marital affair hung on hot search top for days, city in uproar. When Adrian and I started business, industry jokingly called us business condor heroes. Back then we were plain like passers-by. Adrian would tie my shoelaces in public. So when Ruby posted videos of Adrian abandoning me twice at weddings online, netizens overwhelmingly denounced the scum man and T-woman. Some goo company employees took chance to expose big materials. When wall falls, everyone pushes. Vivian's past heart disease true or false unknown, now definitely true. Social platforms long fallen. Seeing done deal, she even publicly called Adrian to marry her online. But the man just had like turtle. Ruby kept pressuring, plus goo CEO various scandals, investors withdrew one after another. Stock price fell like free fall. Company insight exploded, everyone in danger. These years for long term, company had transformation plans, heavily reliant on investors' funds. But investors preferred breach to collectively withdraw, making capital chain near break. This I learned after 2 months recuperating abroad. I knew goo companies' value clearly. Those investors actually had great confidence. Thought Ruby asking withdraw would be refused. But Ruby went crazy. Whatever. Not my concern anymore. Ruby told me, that day Adrian home, saw ultrasound and abortion sheets clipped in divorce agreement, crazily searched for me. Searched all related to me, but only got roasted. Everyone cursed him brain-pitted, missing someone who truly loved him. But he persisted. Went to my deceased grandmother's home. Married years, he never proposed accompanying me home. Back then I secretly rejoiced, so no need explain family much. Now think, is this normal? To me, he always belittled. An unloved rural girl, naturally undeserving of love here. After many inquiries, he learned my parents and brother abroad doing business, rarely back. Reason ignoring me, because I defied them many times for Adrian, chilling their hearts. Actually, after marriage parents' temper softened. I wanted several times to take Adrian abroad to meet them. Adrian always mocked, your parents didn't even come to our wedding, why meet them? Where do I have time? Finally company free, Vivian had issues again. Dragged on. Parents just wanted Adrian's attitude, but until my divorce, didn't get it. Adrian to find me, didn't return company much in 2 months. Bored furious. Divorce agreement, he delayed signing. Perhaps thinking, as long as no divorce, I'd definitely return. I also know, couples like us from co-starting to man outside woman inside, dividing property in divorce not easy, neither thinks they should take less. Adrian, perhaps just no boundaries. But I can't be bothered to wait for solid cheating evidence to entangle, thus can't make him take less. So, I filed for divorce litigation. The man circuitously messaged me. Said I must appear personally, or he absolutely won't cooperate. Unwilling for prolonged war, I still went back once. Court day, I saw the usually neat man with drooping hair, eyes full of red veins. Seeing me, he rushed over. Wanted to touch, but cautiously retracted hand. Long time, choked voice, does it hurt? That day, I saw you at hospital that day. I looked at him like idiot. A bit, hurt for a while, then refreshed. Like this marriage mixed with a grain of sand, grinding painfully. I tried too many times to remove the sand, unsuccessful. So I chose once and for all, threw away the marriage. Adrian, isn't this what you wanted? Man hearing my words, stiffly tugged lip. Long time, then opened mouth again, you've lost weight. I paused slightly. So, the man I once thought separating would kill me, now standing before me saying caring words, my heart can be without ripples. No love, no hate. Only calm. I smiled, told him, not lost, gained 2 pounds. He looked at my smile, stunned a while. Seemed finally realized, I really don't love him anymore. Voice suddenly choked, I thought the least likely to leave me in this world is you, so rightfully ignored your feelings. Knowing you aborted our hard-won child, really hated. But thinking you like children more than anyone, thinking your efforts to conceive, I dare not blame you, no right to. I know you're still angry. This time I received due punishment. You've returned, don't leave, okay? I only replied simplest, court starting, go in. Said, stepped into court. But waited long to find Adrian fled. Guessed he wouldn't cooperate, didn't think so dog. Delegated all to lawyer, I left country that day. I tried taking over family business, due to past polishing, quickly got hang. Heard Adrian's company survived. I'm glad, then I can divide more property. In fulfilling busy life, often see jokes from him. He knows contacting me hard, every interview, always shouts to camera, Claire, as long as you return, I'm always here. Claire, I've been trying to approach you, please look at me again. Claire, world so big, why can't find you? See this video, contact me okay? His affectionate confessions and Vivian the mistress's downfall, gradually seemed to whitewash him. Court even thought our marriage not broken. Then drag on. Now Adrian-related matters not worth frowning. Year passed, long enough I forgot I'm still married. Lawyer finally told me, court granted divorce. No special feeling, just paid lawyer fee. Officially restored my golden single status. Seeing Adrian again, when I returned for alma mater centennial. During my stage speech, Adrian sat front row far right. Focused gaze like strong spotlight. Directly projecting on me. Hard not to notice. But his appearance aged, so I once thought some senior alumnus. When saying I don't regret not going abroad as exchange student, Adrian's empty eyes suddenly lit. Seemed expecting me to say something. I just continued, these years abroad, experienced different artistic charms and education systems, often felt unspeakable estrangement. Culture no right wrong, I just think back then I had better suited path, so didn't choose abroad. Own admitted university, cry also finish. Here, audience burst laughing. I continued, finally senior sister gives you one sentence, when wandering at choice crossroads, listen to your heart's true voice. Applause rose, I ended speech. In corridor, Adrian rushed out blocking me. Tone firm and persistent, you lied, you clearly gave up exchange for me. I looked at him, not perfunctory, at first I thought so, later discovered, actually I just disliked parents controlling life, you were just wrapped in my rebellion, became my excuse. I don't believe. Adrian shook head desperately, I don't believe if no one in country you miss, you'd return just for a bullshit speech? Whether you believe relates to me? Mr. Adrian, I don't want to call security, please behave. No, don't call me Mr. Adrian. Adrian looked hurt. You know? When I discovered it was you silently solving my company's fund issues back then, my heart felt torn. Thinking you gave up parents for me, alone following me, yet I diverted heart to care other woman, I feel not human. If not swallowing antidepressants, waiting to see you again, I'd long not hold on. Forcibly forcing myself to hold on, because I can't bear our co-founded company collapse, that's our child. We can't lose another child. Claire, divorced no matter, I can chase you from start, like you chased me back then. Adrian saying, took out diamond ring from pocket. Claire, the proposal I owe, make up now. Marry me. Looking at this laughable affection, I shook head, you still don't understand. I chose you due to rebellion, then because cost too big wanted to hold tight, finally found it's empty, resolutely let go. Whole process, with purpose, with unwillingness, only no love. Because no love, now looking at you, no different from stranger, understand? In these words, true false, long unimportant. But that man suddenly grabbed hair with both hands, face pained. Then crazily banged wall. Mouth shouting one after another, impossible, you love me. You said all your designs contain love for me. Commotion too big, attracted others' attention. Soon someone came to hold him. I ignored, strode away. Heard that day, Adrian banged his head bad. From then could only spend in mental hospital. And my brilliant life, just beginning.